So I'm back from my week in Medjugorje. It was a very interesting week, and I thought I'd just collect my thoughts and put them together. Before I do that, I just wanted to give you some updates on this channel and you know what's going to happen in the next couple of months and so forth. So anybody following this channel regarding the meeting on Saturday the 19th of November in Derry, we'll have details hopefully late afternoon this Saturday or Sunday. We're just putting the final details together and I'll keep you updated. So bear with me. We still have a week to go. Hopefully Saturday the afternoon on that day, but I'll keep you updated. Because lots and lots of people have contacted me. It's been kind of overwhelming, actually, the amount of texts and emails, and that's fine. It's great to see. It's great to see the massive support. So we'll keep you updated. Another thing on this channel, up to September, this channel has been monetized. So if you were looking at any of my videos, you would have seen ads at the start or banner ads and so forth. Was it? Praying about this in Medjugorje, and I strongly got in prayer, Christ doesn't want me focusing on that. It's nice to have money, extra money, to be able to do stuff to help people and so forth. I really love to do that, and Christ is kind of saying, just focus on me, just focus on Eucharistic adoration, renewal of faith in the Eucharist, and that's where He wants me. I don't know why. Every time I look at, I bought this image. I was looking for a cross in Medjugorje, and instead of buying a cross, I just bought this image of Christ crucified. You'll see it behind me. It kind of moved me to tears, and this Christ crucified, that's poor, that's obedient, that's chaste. This is the God that seems to be, tugging at my heart and my soul. And I suppose I can't do this mission by, as much as I'd like to do other stuff, but I suppose I need to pick what Christ is asking me to do, and He's asking me to focus at this moment in my life on renewal of the faith in the Eucharist in Ireland, and so I will. So where is this going? On this channel, there are some members, and there is a small fee that you're paying. I'm getting about 50 euros from that. I would continue to give that to Father Francis Mugabe in Uganda. He doesn't get a wage, and we do need to support him. I would ask that you help me get that well in Uganda. I'm about 4,500 euros there, if you can help and just finish that. But I won't be monetizing any of my videos. Any of the legacy stuff, whatever money will be going to Father Francis. And I suppose, various people and priests have been counseling me on this and giving me spiritual guidance. And if you want to, give a message with authenticity, you can't let money destroy the immense message that Christ is trying to get to His church of renewal of the faith in the Eucharist, and it has to be done from the heart. And I love this call so much. I would give my life to it. If I wasn't married, I would have sold everything and went off and did it. But I'm a married man. I'm in full-time employment, and I do not need the extra money to as good as it is, I just think it clouds the message. So for the moment, for the next year or two, I've started to demonetize this channel. My thoughts on Medjugorje, because so many people have reached out to me. So many people. I mean, literally sending me on the videos and the criticisms and, this and that. So many people. I mean, I must have gotten well over 300 contacts and emails and messengers and people tagging me on Facebook and sending me videos. Okay, so what do I think of Medjugorje now that I've been there for the week? Well, it just gave me more clarity on the need to renew the faith in the Eucharist, the need for the church to orient itself towards the Eucharist. What the great thing about Medjugorje is this whole synodal process, this whole heretic process. I know Bishop Medjugorje in Donegal, he gave a homily to the Legion of Mary in which he references what is under discussion at the synodal gatherings are not traditional truths of the Christian faith. The synod is concerned mainly with how teaching can be lived and applied in the changing context of our time. And he's quoting Pope Francis' book, Let Us Dream. However, I mean, I have on record, I have a video here, I'll just play it for you. A Jesuit here that came to our synodal process here in Ballina. I was sitting with him and he said it can change. If we look at what Pope John Paul II declared in, for example, in Ordinatio Sacerdotalis, he made the ex cathedra statement, I declare that the Church has no authority whatsoever to confer priestly ordination on women, and this judgment is to be definitively held by all the Church's faithful. So, ex cathedra, dogmatic statement that a Pope did, reflecting 2,000 years of tradition, not only in the Catholic Church, but in the Orthodox Church, the Armenian, the Coptic churches. This has been definitively held. And yet, in our synodal heresy process we've embarked on in Ireland, there is this expectation that the Church will change, and we have Jesuits promoting this change. And I'll put the clip here so that you can hear it.
And are we saying to a woman that I know in my experience who feels a strong vocation to be a priest and who talks about that vocation in a way that I would instantly recognize as similar to my own experience, am I saying to her that can never happen? And then when I look at the theological arguments, I judge them to be thin. So yes, this is very conflictual, it's very divisive. I don't think it's without hope, and the very German bishops that you talk about were the key people in the Synod on the Family who brought together a decision around the admission of divorced and remarried to communion after careful discernment. So you had Cardinal Muller on one side, you had Cardinal Schönborn on another, you had Casper and various people, and they're all very theologically educated, and they were bitterly opposed to one another, as strongly opposed as maybe you and I might be, or others might be on other issues. And yet by being together, by listening over that period of time, they came to a sufficient consensus to allow the Pope to move on that particular issue.
Anyway, and it's not taking a dig at Bishop Medjugorje. I'm just saying one Jesuit tells us one thing, another Jesuit tells us another thing, and we have the synthesis document in Ireland that is addressing women's concerns in the church, but has completely whitewashed out what a layman has to do in the church. What's his call? What's his role? The leadership might be men, but 99% of laymen in Ireland are not involved in, 99% of men in Ireland are not involved in the church. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? Should we not get them involved? What's stopping men getting involved? Anyway, not to digress. So, what do I think of Medjugorje after being there? It was great that there was not a word on the synodal process in Medjugorje, not anywhere, or the surrounding churches, we went to the Franciscans in Mostar. There was not a word. You didn't see it published anywhere. In fact, most of the priests think it's like just this crazy thing that's happening in the church. It's great to see there's a lot of priests, good priests there. Medjugorje is a great place for priests to go to rest. It's a good place to go on holidays, in the sense that you can go with a pilgrimage. You're able to actually relax in a good Catholic environment. It's a beautiful town, beautiful scenery. I love to cross mountain. I went up it 4 times. I loved the meditation of going up Cross Mountain, which was, that way of the cross was built in 1933. it's simply beautiful. I loved going up there, Apparition Hill, like that. I love the evening program. So you had Rosary for an hour, we had Mass, we had Adoration or Veneration of the Cross. I love the evening program, the village. There's good services, which are important. You need good services. I mean, there was nothing that I didn't like. I liked the banter with people that I was with, the pilgrims that came with me. You know, I have nothing negative to say. I didn't get involved in the visionaries or the messages of Medjugorje because it's so contentious in the church. Both ways. It's so contentious, I just leave it to one side, you know. And I don't tend to read that much. You know, I'll read, say, Garbandal, which is, you know, the set messages, or Akita or Fatima, or the early messages of Medjugorje. Now I'll know them, but I don't. My spirituality wouldn't be focused on keeping updated on what seers and see around the world, you know, unless somebody shares with me. You know, I think you're better off just focusing on sacred scripture. I mean, and that's something that Medjugorje and their 5 stones talk about, you know, fasting, sacred scripture, the Eucharist, confession, rosary. So that I really liked Medjugorje. I do recommend you go. You don't need to get involved or follow any of the visionaries or any of the messages. You can just go there and avail of confession. I thought the confession side, I mean, this is something that the church has to recognize as far as confession goes, because it is one of the confessionals of the world. You know, that was massive. You see that, you know, that's massive on both sides of the church. Confessions in all the languages. It's something, it's incredible to see. The confessions, the Mass, there's no extraordinary Eucharist of Holy Communion. The Eucharist is only given out by priests and deacons in Medjugorje. So there are no lay Eucharistic ministers, which is fantastic to see. I mean, it is the most Eucharistic shrine of that size in the world, as far as I'm aware. With as far as, you know, focus on the Eucharist and reverence of the Eucharist. I know Mother Angelica has the shrine of the Blessed Sacrament in Huntsville, Alabama, but Medjugorje is far bigger and gets far more. If you go to Huntsville, Alabama, that shrine, you don't have the same amount of services. It's more a day visit and you're leaving, or you'd have to branch out around that area to get services. And many other shrines don't have the services that you have in Medjugorje. Like Knock is a day visit. Very, very, very few people would actually stay in Knock. You have a hotel and you have a guest house, but you don't have the community in the evening. Medjugorje definitely has that. And, you know, if you look around, Fatima, the same, or Lourdes. So I suppose it's an interesting place to go. It's incredibly beautiful. I mean, the mountains, the scenery. If you go up to the Cross Hill, you can actually see the cross over Mostar, which is quite incredible in the mountains. I mean, it was simply stunning. Herzegovina, that's where this town is located. Many people think it's in Bosnia. It's technically not. It's in a place. It's in Bosnia Herzegovina, so it's in Herzegovina. So it's quite incredible, and the guides are very knowledgeable. I mean, we had great guides. So, you know, I do recommend, if you want to go to a Catholic village, because it really is a Catholic village, everything is focused on Catholicism. It's quite incredible. If you were looking for a town in the world where, you know, it was intensely Catholic, well, it's Medjugorje. I mean, in the evening, people are just singing there, they're praying the rosary. I mean, everybody's praying the rosary. It's just because, you know, the priests there, the tradition there, Medjugorje, is to pray the 3 rosaries every day. I mean, or you can pray the 4th if you want, but it's to pray 3 rosaries every day. And what I got was peace, intense peace. I didn't think I would want to stay there so long. You know, I thought, I might go and see stuff around the town. Because my daughter wanted to go to Munster. I thought we might travel around, see other stuff. But once you're there, you kind of tend to be so happy in the village, especially going up the mountains, that you're not drawn away from the place. I don't know why. It's kind of interesting. I paid about 700 and something euros for the pilgrimage. It included flights, transfers and food. They had a very good breakfast. We had a good lunch. And then in the evening, if you want to go out to a restaurant, you could. I mean, the food is so cheap. I mean, 10 euros will get you a dinner or something like that with a drink or something. It was so cheap. You wouldn't spend, 100 euros would get you anything that you needed over the week unless you were buying some religious items. Some people have said it's very commercial. I mean, it's the same commercial as you have in Knock. It's the same as in Lourdes. It's the same as in Fatima or in Guadalupe in Mexico. It's, all these places. And, there's a lot of poverty. There's poverty in that area. So, I don't begrudge people making money. Now, as far as the seers and their life and how they live and their messages and all this, there's so much debate. I'm not going to get into it. I let the church discern, and as I said, I'm very weary of placing faith in supposed visions and locutions, and even in stuff that even my own call to renew the Eucharist. I'm always, as I said, when I was discerning it, well, if I'm mad, at least I'm leading people to the age-old teaching of the church that the Eucharist is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of the second person, the Holy Trinity. I'm not going to lead you to any strange spirituality or anything like that. I want you to return to the Eucharist. You don't need to listen to me. Just go to the Eucharist. And that's how I discerned it. And I was just so, my only thing when people are listening to the messages of Medjugorje, just put them in context, because, a lot of these mystical experiences, people will interpret them in their own language, in their own culture. Okay, so, and when you're translating these things into English, I remember one of the messages, supposedly somebody said that Our Lady said all religions are equal. And she actually didn't say that. She said all peoples are equal or something like this. And they understood it as, all ethnicities, because in that region of the Balkans, you have Croats and Bosniaks and Serbs, and if you call yourself Croatian, you're Catholic, or Bosniak, you're Muslim, or Serb, you're Orthodox, and so just understand how they live, and that's my only. But as I said, I'm not coming down on either. I don't know. So I'm not going to come down and say, do I believe this or do I believe that? What do I personally believe? I personally believe that Our Lady did appear on the feast of St. John the Baptist in Medjugorje, and that she did say, Yasam Kraljica Mira, I am the Queen of Peace. I do believe that. That's my own personal opinion. But as I said, the church could turn around in 20 years and, rule that it's categorically all false and we can't believe in it. They could do that. So place your faith in the age-old teachings of the Catholic Church. And if it happens to be true, good. I mean, it would be a great tragedy if this is true that we haven't listened. It would be a great tragedy. If it's false, okay, we'll deal with it. If these visionaries come out and it's all fraud in 10 years, like the Father Marcial saga, because, in theory, Father Marcial had everything approved. The Legionaries of Christ, 100% approved. The spirituality was 100% proved. The constitutions, and he turned out to be a fraud, and it hurt a lot of people. And that I suppose we need to be careful there. But we just be prudent and discern. I loved Medjugorje. I would love Medjugorje. I thought it was a beautiful place. A lot of peace. I got the peace, got the interior peace. I loved praying there. They have a little adoration chapel. I loved that. I loved the main chapel. I loved praying outside, and it's intensely moving to see so many thousands of people praying in the evening, because the plaza will hold, say, 5,000 people, which were all the benches, and that is something. You just have to see it, it's just 5,000 people in adoration. It's so beautiful. as far as the Mass goes, I would encourage Catholics, don't applaud at Mass. I mean, I remember we were at Mass in St. James in the chapel, the English Mass at 10 o'clock every day. And because they have to keep the Mass short because they have Masses every hour. So you have to get everybody out of the church and then the next language group comes in. So the Mass is supposed to be 45 minutes and they don't, for example, do the sign of peace because, they're keeping the Mass to 45 minutes. And even when the priest has never said, offer each other the sign of peace, you see people moving around and giving the sign of peace, and where did that pop out of? Or after a homily, there were some good homilies there, the whole chapel erupting in applause. Okay, this isn't a rally speech in a hall or something like that. We should really respect the sacred place. We don't applaud in chapels. It's not a performance that the priest is giving us. It's supposed to encourage us in the faith, and we should respect the sacred. But that said, look, I mean, there's nothing there that I haven't seen in Novus Ordo and other places anyway. But the priests do try as much as possible to keep the Novus Ordo as reverent as possible. Certainly, Father Leon, you couldn't fault Father Leon. He's the English chaplain. You couldn't fault him for encouraging us, especially how to dress. He actually called out us how to dress, how to prepare for Mass. I mean, Father Leon is as traditional as you can get. He loves the Eucharist. You could see that. So, that was it. That's really all I have to say about Medjugorje. I would go back there, and I do recommend you go there. If you want, peace and being able to pray, and it's reasonably priced. It's a good place to go in Europe anyway. So I will go back there, and that's it. And so just this short video to keep you a little update on Medjugorje. Have I changed my opinion on the messages and all this? Not really. I don't know. I'm just one man in the church. I can't give you any definitive answers, and just discern yourself. You don't have to believe in private revelation anyway. The church has always taught this. They've always tried to protect the deposit of the faith by saying to the laity, look, you don't need to believe in this. But if Our Lady is calling us to fast, if she's calling us to go to the Eucharist, if she's calling us to pray the Rosary, to read the Bible, to go to confession, God, the confession really is, incredible. I remember one day I went to, there was one priest confessing, and he was saying to me, you have to pray this prayer, Robert, 500 times. And it was to say, I forgive. After some people, we go to confession, but we don't forgive ourselves. Even though Christ has forgiven us, we kind of hold on to guilt or shame or whatever. And he says, no, you have to say, I forgive myself for X, Y, and Z, and say it 500 times. And I was saying that prayer going up Cross Hill, and I was in floods of tears. I said, this is a lot more harder than I thought. But I got great healing in Medjugorje. I got great peace. And, I did feel the presence of Our Lady. It is just a beautiful town. There's no way I can say. There's nothing else I can say. So yeah, do go there. And I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying it's there. There's good services. There's lots of pilgrimages. It's it's a good time to go. It's in September. It's not too warm, and you can avail of sacraments. There's lots of priests. So that's my thoughts anyway. So I'll keep you updated, and please pray for me, and pray for everybody that needs prayers in these days. I suppose it's very humbling to have met so many people. So many people came up to me in Medjugorje. I must have met 200 people, either in restaurants or in I'd say the church, or walking around, coming up to me, oh, we follow your channel and we do the, and I suppose that was, I wasn't expecting that, I suppose, and that was very humbling. And it wasn't just the Irish, there was Americans, there was Australians and so forth. So, I'm just praying for you all, and renew the Eucharist. Renew the Eucharist. This is what Christ is asking. Renew your faith in the Eucharist. Body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ. The Eucharist of this person. Our God, who was born of Our Lady, who gave his body for us on the cross. If you touched his lacerated body on the cross, your heart would never remain the same. Turn to him. So many people, if there's one negative thing, so many people chase after, even me, I don't know why you're chasing after me, but chase after different priests or seers or visionaries or messages. We're all chasing something. We're all chasing an answer, a healing or something like this. I can tell you hand on heart, the Eucharist is the greatest source of healing, of grace, of just, if you touch our Lord, just go to our Lord. Touch him. Go to confession. Go to the Eucharist. You know, if you're searching for an answer, go to Christ. In reality, you don't need to listen to me. I want to reach those who don't know the faith. But if you are Catholic and you are looking for something and you're depressed and your life isn't going the way it is, turn to Christ in the Eucharist and go to him and say, Lord, I'm here before you because the guy on YouTube said that if I go to you and ask you for help, you will reveal yourself to me. And he will. He will. Just go to Christ in the Eucharist, kneel down before him and say, Robert Nugent sent me to you. Please show me some of your love that you show to him. And he will. He will reveal his heart to you. He will. I can tell you. Because his love is boundless. It's eternal. It's overwhelming. And he doesn't sit silently in his church. He's there bound with boundless grace and love. And he wants to heal you. He wants to encounter you. That's his will. He wants you. He doesn't have, if you're humble enough to want to know him, he will want to be with you. So you have to, humble yourself. You have to put your will in front of Christ. Say, I want to know you, Christ. And he will reveal himself to you. He will show his love to you. Just turn up, keep turning up, keep going. Ask him day in, day out. Ask him, have faith in him, love him. Don't make him part-time Christ in your life. Make him full-time Christ in your life. That's what you need to do. And once you do that, you'll see your lives being slowly transformed. Because he'll start working in your life and he'll start speaking, he'll start nudging you and he'll start putting people in your life. That's the miracle for me. I mean, for me, Medjugorje was a living miracle that only I could experience. The people that I met, the people that I knew I had to meet, like Christ was saying, especially Jim Crossan, I have to say, these people that I knew, the Derry lads, I knew I had to meet them. I knew that on the first Friday of September. I knew I have to get up to Derry and meet these guys, and for them to be there. And it's just a miracle of what's coming together. And at the moment, it's literally a miracle for Ireland, guys. So just please pray. Just return to the Eucharist. Return to the age-old teaching of the Catholic Church. Just do what the Church always does. This is the Church knows this. They need to return to Christ. Orient the Church. We need to turn ad orientem, as was the tradition for hundreds of years. We need to turn to Christ. We don't need performing priests at Mass. There's lots of areas where priests can show their creativity in speeches and in talking to us, but the Mass should be turned to Christ. It's Calvary. It's being placed in front of Christ crucified. That's what the Mass is. And I struggle with the Novus Ordo sometimes, not being able to better pray, because I need the silence, and I need the recollection, I need the contemplation, the unity with Christ. I struggle with this, but the church will see this someday. But we have to just do this with humility and with love, not as protest. So pray. Anyway, God bless, and take care. Bye bye.